Well, hello everybody. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a planner, although not really, as you can see, it's the anti-planner, that has been requested multiple times. It's one of those that I kept forgetting to order. Well, I finally got it, and I think it's going to be a great I think it's a great planner to kick off the new year with, as well as kind of in tandem with last week's video about how much it sucks basically to plan while you're sick. I'm not normally like an aesthetic beverage person, but it is fucking cold today. So I have a mug of hot cider because that's been my latest like hot beverage of choice, sort of off to the side with my shitty kidney mug from Christian Designs. And my cat chewing on all the plastic in the room. Sir, it's a hot mess today, if you can't tell. Oh, there's a kitty. Whoop. Oh, man. You shaggy orange goblin. You. Anyway, this is the anti-planner from Danny Donovan, who is a comic artist. I love her art. It's so funny. She very openly struggles with ADHD. And I know that this planner was kind of a response to that. So this is the anti-planner, how to get shit done when you don't feel like it. It is not actually a planner, obviously. It doesn't have calendars, doesn't have dates, doesn't have planning pages. It's more meant to be like a fucking handbook with strategies on how to do stuff when you really don't feel like adulting. Some unique and entertaining ways of completing tasks and how to untangle emotions that make it hard to get shit done and how to smash through productivity roadblocks. So that's from the website. $38. I ordered it from her website. The shipping was pretty quick. I think it came within a week and a half. She also has a swearing-free version, which is not the version I got. Some stats from the website, 7.5 inch by 9.5 inch. So it actually very similar in size to like a Moxie Life or a Erin Condren. Vegan leather hardcover with gold foil stamping and rounded edges. I was just having a conversation with somebody about like the fucking rebranding of pleather to vegan leather. Like I preferred pleather. I'm of the early 2000s. I was a young adult. I owned pleather pants. But anyway, it's like a smooth, not textured surface, and you can feel kind of the raised lettering, the white lettering here, and it's the gold stamping is really pretty with these fun doodles. I like that. 300 full color pages with over 100 activities. The section tabs are for navigation, wire O binding, and it's got an elastic cover, elastic band to hold the cover on, and a pen loop. The wire O binding is like a dark bronzy color. I really don't like wire O binding, but especially for something like this where it's not meant to be used every day, it doesn't really bother me all too much. So let's take a look. Also, the Stussy S. If you were in high school in the 90s, I bet you remember this puppy, as well as the Cootie Catcher. As a matter of fact, I feel like Danny Donovan must be of my generation, which is like the Xennials, I think, those like 1980 to 1983 or something, that like amorphous area in between millennials and Gen X. Anyway, the anti-planner, how to get shit done when you don't feel like it. And it says here, holy shit, I can't believe I actually finished this. The inside is like a beautiful kind of royal blue, and the pen loop and the elastic band are actually kind of like a navy. They're not black. They're starting this off by saying your worth is not measured in productivity. And again, like I said, much like last week's video. Here's a little comic talking about how to take care of the thing, turning boring stuff into games, find company to join you, and celebrate small victories. The idea here is like, and I'm not going to go deep into all of this because there's a lot in this. I've already filmed this video once and my sound wasn't working, so I have seen all of this before, but let's just say that this comic in the beginning is a really fun way to explain that like one way to maybe make a daunting or task you don't want to do better is by associating it with better things, by rewarding yourself or having fun with other people or something. So that's this whole planner, anti-planner, if you will, is about how to use games and fun activities to trick your brain into thinking that these adulting tasks are more fun than they are. As it says here, it's not a planner. It's not designed for daily use. And you are not fucking lazy. This is meant to be like a procrastination fire extinguisher. Break glass in case of emergency. So you have this in case you're really procrastinating for whatever reason. Here are some excuses, some self-defeating bullshit, and some counters to that. And then her tip of using pencil or erasable pen so you can reuse the exercises over and over again. Some of them in the book do have repetitive pages so that you can use them more than once, but a lot of them you only get the one page. She does say you can recreate most activities on notebook paper, which I'm here for, especially since I'm using the Sterling ink this year. And you can go to her shop on her website to order copies, physical copies of some of these exercises. But, basically the idea being she only has so much room so she couldn't afford have like shit tons of extras of all of them. So the idea on how to use this, and this is how the tabs are divided, is that she's got 5 different main emotions: stuck, overwhelmed, unmotivated, disorganized, and discouraged. So try to discover, like, when you're stuck on, when you have something you don't want to do, pick which one of these really applies to you. And then when you go to that section, it's going to have other emotions underneath that, like deeper emotions with like signs that you can look through to determine what you're feeling, and then go to that section for activities kind of designed for that section. I'm not going to go through all of these super deeply, but it gives you a bunch of bullet points underneath each one. For each of these, I'm going to pick one of these that feels like it's calling me out for one of my most often experienced emotions. So under stuck, difficulty getting started, indecisive, perfectionistic, and distracted. For me, there are 2 in this one that really call me out. Difficulty getting started. I know what I need to do, but I can't get myself to do it, and I can't ever seem time, like all of these. And then for perfectionistic, I'm afraid of criticism, mistakes, and mediocrity. I have unrealistically high expectations of myself. But each of these has a bunch of different things that you can look at to figure out which one of these, and then you go to that page. This gives you like some advice and some information on feeling stuck and what it might look like. And there's a bunch of little check boxes here. For difficulty getting started, there's a little, for each of these, there's a table of contents for the different things in here and some information on that particular emotion. And it's a little like activity. It also gives you, and I like this, I didn't notice this when I went through it first, it gives you the list of everything underneath this category, but it also gives you some other ones from other categories that could also apply, which I really like. For under difficulty getting started, we have the music challenge, a speed run to see how much you can get done before a song, album, or playlist runs out. I actually utilize this more often than I'd like to. This is something my mom kind of introduced to me when I was a kid. We used to use Madonna's True Blue album as our cleaning album, and so each song we would see how much we could get done in a song, my sisters and I. The 5-second rule from Mel Robbins, where you like count down for 5 seconds once you know what you need to do, and then do it as soon as you're done with the 5 seconds. A fast forward visualization technique, which is not something I think I'm super interested in because I can't actually visualize. I have aphantasia. Maybe that's why I'm so like weirded out by manifestation. Identify roadblocks. So you put the roadblock down, the possible solution to it, and maybe you write down why it's hard and how to make it easier. So there's a whole bunch of these pages to fill out. Task adjacency. Put yourself in the environment where you need to be to complete a task, then sneak up on it. So an example here would be responding to important emails is the thing you're avoiding. So delete spam for 5 minutes, and then you'll be there and you can kind of sneak up on it. If you have to order groceries online, maybe look up a new recipe. So it gives you some ideas here of the things you're avoiding and the semi-related thing you can do to sneak up on it. Procrastination hit list. This one's cute. You basically draw the thing you're procrastinating on so that you can, like, doesn't matter if you're good at drawing or not, it says here, but you can use this as like a wanted poster to knock things out. And it looks like you've got a few pages of this plus a reminder to yourself page. So here's some reminders here that were already put on, and you can write your own. These pages are also color coordinated. Sir, do you want out? This one, body doubling, we actually utilize in this house quite a bit. It helps Sunny out, my oldest. We'll go both bring our laptops and go to like a cafe or something and co-work where I'm doing my work and they're doing like schoolwork. But it helps them focus because they feel like they're getting some accountability. And so we can have a couple of hours of really focused work. Verbal processing, a prioritizing and planning session, telling someone what you're going to do immediately before starting on it. There's some other things, starting with fun, productive poops, basically using time in the bathroom to knock out a tiny task you've been avoiding, which I kind of am grossed out by because I do bring my phone into the bathroom with me. It's a habit I want to break. So maybe not that. Heads or tails. This one seems super fun. Like you have your tasks list and then you flip a coin to see if you're going to do it that day or not. The next category is indecisive under stuck. Some tips for avoiding analysis paralysis to make decisions faster. The dice roll, which you would use like a multi-sided die, like for D&D. We have a ton of those, so this would actually be a fun one. One thing I do want to do is kind of add in some little tabs for ones I want to return to. This is definitely one of them. I feel like the wanted one would be one that I would struggle with because of I'd be spending too much time doodling. I like to doodle. But the dice roll, I love the idea of it. And so what you do is you assign different numbers to different tasks. And then you roll the die and decide what you're going to do based on that. Paper football. You create little paper footballs, you flick them, and then of your tasks, and then whichever one gets the farthest, you start on that task immediately. Coin spin and let the chips fall where they may. So kind of like spin the bottle, but for your stuff, you write your tasks down. You spin the coin in the center, and wherever it lands, that's what you work on. Fortune teller, or as I remember these being called, cootie catchers. I actually never knew how to make one of these. I used the shit out of them when I was in elementary school, but I never made one. So having the instructions here, it's like breaking the wall between the mysteries of elementary school. But the idea is you put your tasks in here, and then you use it, the cootie catcher, you know. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Pros and cons list. Calculating what matters. So write pros and cons in each space, assign point values, count up at each points, and circle the result with the most points. And that tells you what you need to do. Here's some different ways of deciding between options. Under stuck, the next category is perfectionistic. This is one that's a big deal for me. Speed run. Speeding through tasks as fast as you can without trying to make them perfect. Oh, I marked this one. You can see I've already marked some in here. We'll get to those. Setting realistic expectations to yourself. An example here is make the bed. Make it fancy or just get it sort of made. It's a bare minimum expectations. Half-ass it. Must-haves, nice-to-haves. Finish the bare minimum and do if you have extra time for each project. Here's a great quote. Don't stress yourself out trying to design a big-ass spaceship if a bicycle will work just fine. Inbox sprint. How many emails can you answer in 30 minutes? A timer challenge, add it up and race the clock. So you write down your tasks, you give yourself the max amount of time you're going to give on them, and then you actually do it and see how many minutes it actually took you. For distracted, we have ideal working conditions. I'm going to high mark this one. So you can maximize focus while working at your desk. Some ideas for a dreams workstation, some top 5 time wasters, I could tell you right now. For me, Reddit, Candy Crush. Idea parking lot, capture your brilliance without losing your focus. So you can capture your ideas. I've used idea parking lots, but never drawn out like an actual parking lot before. Some tips on how to stop getting distracted by screens. Distraction list with possible solution spaces. Here's a map of basically what a reality looks like with the things you need to do. Let's see if this is me. Thing I need to do. Fun thing I want to finish. Text I need to answer. Messy thing I need to organize. Looking for snacks. Got to go to the bathroom. Wasting time on my phone. Quick thing I need to Google. Well, it's too late now. I'll do it tomorrow. And here's a spot to create. Here's a spot to create a playlist for focus. The next category is overwhelmed, and I should mention here, this is a cardstock divider. The pages are fairly decent feeling. The divider is cardstock. The tabs are not laminated, and my tabs are already kind of smushed. I will also mention that it was shrink wrapped when it was sent here, so protected it really well, but I think it did smush the tabs a little bit. How are you feeling under overwhelmed, intimidated, overcommitted, panicked, and burnt out? For me, Big one here, overcommitted. I have too much on my plate. I'm afraid to tell people no. People expect a lot of me, and I suck at delegating. This one is basically my entire life. For intimidated, we've got some techniques here that I actually use all the time. Pomodoro timers, where you time something, set a work timer for 25 minutes, work on it straight, take a 5-minute break, then do it again. Then at the end of, I think, like X number, you take like a longer break. How to break down tasks. So it gives you like a roadmap, like a way to create a better roadmap with examples of like 2 tasks, a better way to break them down, and an even better way to break them down. And then some task breakdown sheets to give you some like structure on how to do that. Here's a section on time batching, a time estimation challenge so you can test your guesstimation skills. God, if I do this, we're going to see just how heinous I am at this. I've been time tracking quite a bit for a long ass time, and it never fails to surprise me how bad I am at estimating my time. Intimidation reframing, addressing the emotions behind your avoidance. So it gives you areas where you can write, why don't I want to work on something? And how can I reframe that so I can look at it in a different light? An example here, her task was making a TikTok announcing the anti-planner is up for pre-order. One of her emotions making it difficult to start is feeling guilty for only posting 1 video a month instead of 4 times a week. But she's reframing this to, I've been busy writing a book. I need to cut myself some fucking slack. So this gives you an opportunity to kind of break down why you feel so you can this is something I've done with my therapist actually, how to kind of reframe what you're stressed about to remind yourself that there are reasons and maybe you should give yourself a fucking break. Overcommitted. One of the sections that calls me right the fuck out. I agreed to take care of way too many things. So the commitment list, how much shit is on your plate? I need like a sticker of that. So it gives you some obligations. Do I actually want to do it? Who am I doing it for? And could I have said no? Because that way you can at least start thinking about times to say no in the future. Setting real expectations at work. Don't write checks your ass can't cash. Here's a truth or dare section. Truth. Who do you struggle to enforce boundaries with? Why? What would you tell them if you could? Dare. Say no to something you don't want to do. Some tips on setting boundaries. How to get out of shit you don't want to do. There's really not a lot for that section. Panicked. I'm so stressed out I can't focus. Some meditation for newbies. Some stress action plan worksheets. Why am I stressed? What can I do about it? When can I do it? And then a check off for I did. Some coloring pages here. How to work during shit storms. So some ways to get you through like an intense fucking situation. There's a grounding countdown when you're losing your shit. The absolute last thing on your mind is the environment around you, but grounding yourself can show your brain you're not in any actual danger. I'm actually going to mark this one because this seems like a really great exercise. Identify 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can see to put you present in the moment and take you out of your panic. And then a body scan exercise. Some deep compression to swaddle yourself, yes, like a baby, saying a weighted blanket's a great idea too. We have one of those. A happy place, take a mind vacation, like Garth. He's in the forest with Heather Locklear and it's warm. And then an anxiety vent space to write down the stressed out thoughts swirling around your brain. Tips for if you're burned out. Here's some signs of burnout: physical, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral. Some things for self-care, practicing it by doing things you enjoy. So brainstorming things you want to do to take a break. TV shows, movies, books, restaurants, people you haven't talked to in a while. Things that people I like to try. So I was looking at the restaurants and things I'd like to learn. And then some tips on asking for help. Here is a recharge your batteries exercise. What drains me of my energy? What are signs I'm in low power mode? And how do I recharge? And then a self-care checklist challenge. How many of these can you check off over time? Find a podcast that isn't boring. You can't tell I'm keeping this, by the way. I'm not going to give this away. I'm going to hang on to this as my fire extinguisher. Ideas to feed yourself when you just can't anymore because cooking takes a lot of mental energy. So some instant grab and go drinks, just a bunch of ideas and spot to put your easy meals down. For the unmotivated section, there's waiting to feel like it, lacking accountability, disinterested and uninspired. And for me, the one that calls me right the fuck out is lacking accountability. I am somebody who both hates being told what to do, but also needs external accountability. I struggle with my own internal accountability. There's no consequences if I keep procrastinating. I struggle to follow through on internal deadlines. No one will know if I didn't do this thing. I can't get things done if there's no real pressure, and no one's going to be mad at me if I don't do it. For waiting to feel like it, I'll deal with the thing later. We've got a card game. Is this when I marked? No, but I think this is when I was gonna mark. It's my last one of these ones. I should grab another stack, huh? You talk about using up your shit, right? So this one is you flip 4 cards. What suit did you draw? Spades are admin tasks. Diamonds are cleaning tasks. Hearts are self-care tasks. And clubs are contact tasks. And then what number? Whatever the number is on that card tells you how many minutes you're going to spend on it. So 2 through 5 is 5 minutes. 6 through 10 is 10 minutes. Jack through King is 15 minutes. And then the ace, the lucky card, is 0 minutes. You get to keep procrastinating. This, I think, is a great thing, especially for like a Saturday when you're trying to get some shit done, but you have no idea what to do and you're just procrastinating on everything except for sitting in bed reading your new book, which is what I did this weekend. I'm not going to talk about it. Get in the productive mood. Gives you some ideas on how to create rituals and sensory cues to get shit done. And the note here is that any things that you're going to do or things you're going to wear or things you're going to like hold on to get things done, like they give you some ideas like coffee mug, productivity candle, etc. Only use those things for their intended purpose, not for anything else, because you'll break the ritual idea in your mind. It's actually something I might just do with this candle. I might do it for the process candle, my studio candle. I might save this for when I'm only for when I'm making art. Switch it up. New and novel places to get shit done, with a bunch of ideas here. This is actually something, again, when I talked about body doubling, Sunny and I do this. Plus, now that I have a laptop, I've been doing work all over the house to kind of break things up, and it's been helpful. Here's an excuse list to call yourself out on your bullshit. So you write your excuse, and then you come up with a counter argument. I don't know how. Well, I am a smart, capable adult who knows how to look things up. Procrastination blackjack. This seems like a little bit more of a little bit more complicated game than the first one we looked at, but this one you play blackjack with yourself, and you write down the tasks you're trying to do, and depending on what your point level is, it tells you how many of those tasks that you need to do. So if you get 17 or less, you do 2 of them. 18 to 20, do 1 of them. If you get blackjack, 21, no tasks, and if you get 22 or more, you have to do all 3. How to function when you're sleepy as fuck. Here's some ideas to wake up your senses. I did mark this one. How to trick yourself into becoming a morning person. Would you like to see a vlog where maybe for a week I try all these things? Let me know. I'm going to write that down because I think that's a great video idea. And I don't need this post-it because I took care of those things today. Go me for not procrastinating. Because if I procrastinated, my pure flow would stop working. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you want to see a video where I try those things. Or maybe a video if I try any of these things. Avoidance bingo with different things that she's put on here. This could also work for you because these are all pretty good. But you could also create your own bingos with either these categories: cleaning, work, home, contact, and self-care, or your own categories. And you add the tasks in, and then when you do the tasks, you cross them off, so you're trying to get a bingo. And then eventually a blackout. An avoidance log. So this gives you an idea of how you're, like, what are you avoiding, why you're avoiding it, what would make, like, what's the worst that could happen, and what's the best that could happen. My therapist actually has me go through some of these things too. Lacking accountability. This is mine. No one will really care if I do this. Being productive is way easier when there's an outside source of pressure. So here's some ideas on how to create accountability. An example here is external deadlines. Have my boss set mini deadlines for project components instead of a final deadline. That's something I've been doing with the HB90 system. The Bet You Can't board. I saved this one too because holy shit, this is so me. It's a spite-driven productivity challenge where you draw a picture of someone you hate the most. But you could just print a picture of someone you hate the most too if you didn't want to draw, which is what I might do. If it's think a politician, snide coworker, frenemy, ex-boss. Fun fact, when I do this, my first thought was Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz tells me, I bet you can't do this. I would fucking do it just to spite him because I really dislike Ted Cruz. He's just so unlikable. Accountability betting, put your metaphorical money where your mouth is. So either using hypothetical money or real money, get an accountability partner and you guys bet, like kind of, I think sounds similar to like those diet bet things. Task battle. This is kind of like Battleship where you and someone else will put 7 tasks you need to get done somewhere on these boards. And then you call out the spaces and you're looking to see who gets all 7 spaces first. But if you get it, they have to do that task before making your next guess. So it's like Battleship, except trying to get you to do stuff. I like that one. Grime and punishment. What do you hate but would be good for you? So this is basically, instead of rewarding yourself for doing tasks, it's punishing yourself for not doing them. And it says here, enthusiastic consent is needed if you're doing this with someone else. But like for them, they have a push-up system. Counters start clear, sink starts empty. Each person owes 10 push-ups for every single item they leave on the sink or on the counter that's not put away by midnight. So as an example, 2 dishes in the sink, 1 wrapper on the counter equals 30 push-ups. And then she says, we hate doing dishes, but not as much as we hate doing push-ups. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm more inclined to go with reward than punishment, but that could be an interesting one to try. Then disinterested. My hatred of the thing burns with the white-hot intensity of 1,000 suns. So the idea here is after I do this thing, I get to do this thing I want to do. So like a reward system. And it gives you here, like you have to do one thing, you get to do it, or you have to do all these things. So depending on what the tasks are. Developing your own productivity strategies. So using these interests and preferences here, it can help you figure out what you can do to reward yourself, what you can do to motivate yourself. And you can DIY it here. She's got a list of gamification strategies, different ways to turn it into a game. Here's another truth or dare. What's the last task you completed you didn't want to do, and how did you get yourself to finally do it? For truth. And for dare, find a new productivity app and use it for 3 whole days. Worst tasks ever, break the cycle of avoidance. So a task you hate, her example here, folding and putting away laundry. Why does it suck? It's boring, it's understimulating, and it takes forever. What could maybe make it suck less? Listening to an audiobook, talk on the phone, watch TV and set a timer. That's what I do. I put on a TV show or a YouTube video. And I actually don't mind folding laundry though, unless it's like a mountain of it. But normally I find it kind of meditative. Task complaint form. You put the task name, you break it down as to where it is in status, when it's due, and classification. Issues and grievances, however minor, and then suggestions for improvement. Thank you for feedback. For uninspired, I'm not pumped about the thing anymore. Here's some examples on how to restart your engine. Some ideas on how to get re-inspired. Here's some motivational videos that you can scan the QR code and watch them to get motivated. Here's a spot to write down your role models. Here's some ideas on how to set goals that don't suck. So you're supposed to put your objectives, your motivation, your requirements of it, the outcomes, what it looks like to be successful, emotions, roadblocks, and setbacks. You've got a pump up mixtape playlist to create here, another truth or dare about your ideal life and motivational YouTube videos. The next session is disorganized, messy, and difficulty prioritizing. Neither of these really call me that out. Disorganized seems to be the chapter I am the least kind of connected to, but there's always time to use them. For messy, everything always piles back up again. Here is some speed cleaning tips, a messy room challenge. This one is big in our household, designing your environment. So you're basically thinking like a problem item, then where the problem item is and how can you possibly solve it. I'll give you an example from my real life. RJ hates putting his clothes away. We used to just have bins that he could throw clothes into, but even that his clothes are too big for the bins we used to use, so we got him a dresser. He was never using it. He would just have a pile of dirty clothes on the floor and a pile of clean clothes, and they get mixed up. So instead of trying to force him to put his clothes away because he just wasn't doing it, we got him this rolling cart from the container store that had 3 hanging like deep laundry bags that could be removed. And one bag is for his clean clothes, and then 2 of the bags are for his dirty clothes, or maybe however he wants to use it. And he just, when he washes the clothes, he just swaps the bags. That was one way that we worked with something rather than trying to fight against it. Use the microwave, put your food in the microwave, and take whatever time it takes to cook. Like a Hot Pocket is 3 minutes and 30 seconds for 2 of them. Use that time to do something really quick. One better choice, basically paying attention to the choices you're making and maybe redirecting. Here's a clean by the numbers where you assign like rooms to your color. And every time you finish cleaning a room or area, you get a new color. And as you're doing areas, you color it in. Here's some personal best. This is something I would totally be into for competitive sake. Can you beat your old time? So your record time for cleaning your room. And then the next time you clean your room, can you beat your record time? You keep track of that. Organizing your digital workspace. There's some tips here. A fridge overhaul challenge. I probably should use this one too. And then for truth or dare, the truth is what surfaces accumulate clutter the fastest and what habits cause things to pile up so quickly. And the dare is to clean out all the moldy and expired food in your fridge and write down the grossest thing you found. The rule of 2, with some info here that she's not shaming you for being messy, but the rule of 2 is if you leave a room, take 2 things with you that don't belong, and if you're coming into a room, put away 2 things that won't take long. Your top 5 worst chores and why they suck. Your cleaning scavenger hunt. Put away 1 item per color, put away something that you can write with, is made of plastic, blah, blah, blah. That's fun. Do that with the kids. I know they're teenagers, but still. Difficulty prioritizing. I've got so much shit to do, but I'm feeling all over the place. Here is a prioritization worksheet, and a lot of those pages. Here's a labeling and like batching situation. Here's a Kanban board with some examples. Here is a ranking worksheet to help you figure out what to do first. And then here are some theme weeks. You complete 10 tasks related to one topic over the course of the week. So for a finance week, she's got 10 tasks related to her finances to do over the course of a week. Another week for working on this book. Here's a bunch of stuff for that to work on over the course of a week. And it says here that rather than creating those tasks ahead of time, you start the week. But then as you do the tasks, you write them down until you hit 10 tasks. So it's like a to-done list as opposed to a to-do list. Urgent versus important grid. This is the Eisenhower matrix. I mentioned this in my last video, my non-plan with me last video. And then for discouraged, feeling hopeless or insecure. Insecure for me is a big one, a very big one. For hopeless, everything sucks, this sucks, I suck. Here's event space to basically scream into the void. You got a bunch of those. Some of these that you can color. Here's a spot to draw your feels out. What does insecure feel like? Lessons learned. You're stronger than you give yourself credit for. Here's an example. Shitty experience. Got fired for being late. What did I learn? Flexible hours needs to be a top priority when considering future job opportunities. So it gives you an opportunity to write down your crappy experiences and figure out the lessons you got from them. Here's a self-compassion pep talk. Why you're upset. And what would you tell a friend if they were saying the same thing to you? Lots of space. Another to-do list where you can write down stuff I did today. And then for insecure, I never really feel good enough. Big for me. Here's examining your fear of judgment. What I'm feeling insecure about. So here's hers example. Worrying the anti-planner exercises aren't good enough and people will be disappointed and leave bad reviews. Why? It's my first book and a lot of pressure. I want to make people happy. Whose judgment am I afraid of? Mine and others. It just gives you a way to like examine why you're feeling judged. The faces of cognitive distortions. I'm a catastrophizer. I always go to the worst possible scenarios. Watch out for thought traps, challenging cognitive distortions. So you're supposed to take your negative thought and kind of work your way through it. This is something I've done in therapy. Hard to swallow pills, rejection sensitivity. You can't make everyone happy. Anyone gossiping about you is insecure about their own life and needs to feel superior. The right people love you. People aren't analyzing your every move. Everyone isn't mad at you. You don't have to be perfect to deserve respect. Yeah, I've got that printed on the wall, I swear to God. And some people won't like you no matter how nice you are, and that's okay. Shutting up your scumbag brain. Your thoughts aren't you. There's your scumbag brain. So Write down your negative thoughts and who made you believe that was true. Stop shoulding all over yourself. Unhelpful self-judgment is counterproductive. So write down the things that you think you should do so that you know that you actually don't. Here are some forgiveness exercises I need to forgive myself for, and then write it down. And then you can decide, are you going to forgive and accept it? Are you going to forgive and forget it? Or are you going to forgive and do better? Seeing the real you. What's great about you? What do others compliment you about? So you can fill that out. And then there's a huge list by any words that sound like you. And they're all positive words. Small wins trophy shelf. So you basically draw in your trophies for something you did. There's a bunch of them. And a victory lap to brainstorm all of the awesome shit you've done. Then here's the end of the book for extras. Here's her origin story. Here are a bunch of resources. Here are her Patreon supporters. Here are some other neurodiverse people on the internet you can follow. And then this is the end of the book. And there's no folder or anything. That just brings you straight to the end. I fucking hate wire O binding. Oh my God. So overall, I'm not going to pen taste this because like she even said, use an erasable pen or a pencil. So I think a pen would work fine on this. But I feel like for me, at least, I'm going to incorporate anything I use in here into my planner since I have the daily pages. Specifically because I don't want to like use up the book. And I did put a whole bunch of these tabs in. I think this is great. And I think especially if you struggle with any sort of executive dysfunction, that this could be really handy. But I honestly think that this could be handy for a lot of people. Like there's plenty in here that I already know about through therapy and through just being interested in this sort of thing. But there's a lot I didn't even think about. And there's some good reminders in here for me. So I'm a big fan. I'm going to keep this and use this. Let me know in the comments if you want any progress videos on this, if I use it, if you want me to vlog doing any of these activities. And also any other planners you'd like me to take a look at in 2024. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, friends, peace.